everyone, my name is Sierra and I am the founder of Sierra's in Theater, which is a blog. Hey guys, welcome back to Sierra in Theater. For today's video, I'm gonna be doing Once on This Island reviews. This will be part 1 of this video. To see part 2 of this video, you'll have to keep an eye out. I'll be posting it sometime, sometime. I'm wearing an obnoxiously bright orange hoodie. It was my Halloween costume 2 years ago. I was a Care Bear. I painted a hoodie, and how it makes like obnoxious sounds. It's like hard with paint, but it's okay. Living its best life. Here we are. I was just looking at myself that whole time and not at the camera. Sorry. So again, I have my list of things I'm going to be talking about. I'm only going to go over half of them for today's video, but like I said, I'm going to do a part 2, so you'll hear the other half later. These are going to be things that were pre-show and or an overall thing, so I guess we'll get into it. I'm hoping to make this video a lot shorter than my last show review, and on top of that I'm gonna make it 2 parts, so it's gonna be even shorter, so hopefully this video is less obnoxious. First thing I want to talk about is how insanely awesome the house was. They have a theater where you're on all 4 sides of them, like you're completely surrounding the stage, and the seats were pretty close. Like they only had rows up to K, I think, or maybe J, something like that. I can't remember. Like they only had a couple of rows back. Like you were pretty close to the stage. It was really, you know, close and like in it. And on top of that, they had decorations on all of the walls. Everything was painted black because I'm assuming it was some kind of black box theater. And they had signs and shirts and lights up on all of the walls to decorate them. And I thought that was really cool because it kind of brought everything together and made it to where it was like you were part of the story, you know what I mean? And kind of just like everything together. Kind of to go with that point, throughout the show they consistently like entered through the audience, and I think they used every single stairway that they had inside the theater, and they used them a lot. They had people climb up and like in front of people. They had like different stories that were being told to different parts of the audience. Like they very much used the audience as a way for the story to be told, which I also thought was extremely cool. One thing that I really liked, which I guess is kind of an obvious thing that a Broadway show would do, but because my school did Once on This Island, so when we did Once on This Island, we painted our stage to look like sand and water. Like we painted part of it blue and we painted part of it like tan with like speckles and stuff. It looked okay, and we used fabric that like flowed for the water as well. Like it wasn't just like paint. Actually, did we do that? I think that was an idea, and I don't think we actually ever did it. I can't remember, whatever. But they had like real water and like real sands on there. Like the whole just had like sands on all over the whole stage, except for the part that had water. And there was like real water, and they just like walked through the water. Like that's one of the ways that they entered, and that's where Ogway stood for most of the show. He just like stood in the water, and it was like really cool because they had sand and water, and they used it as like part of their show as well. Like they used the sand and they used the water as like sometimes, you know, a prop basically, I guess, because they would touch it and move it and kick it and whatever happened. One thing that kind of annoyed me about the water throughout the show was that when people would enter or leave through the water, you could hear it happening. There would be some times where everything was completely silent, or there was a very serious moment happening, and you would just hear like swish, 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 except when entering or leaving the stage, which was kind of obnoxious, and I wish I didn't do that part of it, especially because everybody was so close that you could hear everything. But I guess that they didn't really have a choice. At the beginning of the show, like before the show actually happened, like during pre-show stuff, they interacted with the audience. Like they were talking to people and they were having conversations with them and like gesturing, and there was one part where somebody, like they had a phone that rang, which was their, obviously, like a prop that they had or whatever, where like a phone was ringing, and so one of the guys like went over and like took the phone from somebody and like answered. It was like hello, and like caught a conversation from. They were like, oh no, they're about to watch a show right now, sorry. And then they ended up like throwing the phone into the water, so the phone is gone. So that's why like it's a prop. I honestly don't like that kind of stuff because obviously we're in a theater. Nobody's gonna forget that just because you start talking to them, and when people, like the actors, start talking to me, it makes me even more realize that I'm in a theater, and I don't really like that. I like being so immersed in the show that I forget there's a theater there. That's like my favorite part about theater. They had a live goat and a live chicken on the stage. At first, because they had the chicken like in a cage, like on the stage, and at first I thought it was fake because it wasn't moving. And it's like one of the guys was like going up and like talking to it and like kind of being like doo doo, and then it opened the cage and the chicken moved. It like whole moved, and it was like a real chicken. Like it was walking around and it was like real. It was a whole chicken, a real one, a real chicken. I was like, excuse me? This isn't allowed? What? And then later on, the girl who played Papa Gay brought a goat on stage and just walked her goat around and just like had it stand on different things and just like casually had a goat. And then she took it off stage, and later on, they brought the goat out again. It was like in the show. Like it was in the pre-show, and then it was in the show. And they brought it through people. Like imagine just like living your life in the theater and you look beside you and there's just a goat sitting there. Like what? That was so weird. I didn't like it. One thing, this is me comparing my show that we did at TC to them. Obviously, I understand 100% completely that there's no comparison. They're a Broadway production. Their show was amazing. Their actors were a lot more amazing. Their tech was like absolutely insanely amazing. Like everything is amazing, right? The only thing that bugged me while I was watching this one is that at TC we made our show pretty. Like that was I think that was literally the point of like everybody, was to make our show pretty. The costumes and makeup and set and lights and everything were intended to make the show look pretty. So because of this, we did a lot of the costumes and makeup, especially because I was on makeup and I was really close contact with the costume designer the whole time. A lot of the stuff was, you know, not as realistic because were handed pictures of what they wanted everything to look like, and we strayed a lot, and it was to make the show look nice. Because if you see like reference pictures from like the islands they're supposed to be on, their clothes ain't cute and they're just kind of like mishmash. They have like, you know, really ugly 90s looking tees and like shorts and man sandals and like a freaking baseball cap. Like it's not cute stuff, like it's ugly stuff, and I didn't want to put my actors in that, so I didn't. I think our show looked gorgeous personally, but I'm a little biased, so it bugged me the whole time that like their clothes just weren't cute at all. I hated them. They were the worst. One thing that intrigued me about this, because like I mentioned, which was interesting to me, because when we did our show, like our director said that the story was set in modern times, that it was early enough that they were driving cars. It was late enough that they were driving cars, but early enough that we never once see any kind of electronic device, but that in the situation that these peasants were in, they wouldn't have them anyway, so that's not necessarily saying that it's not now. And so when we did our show, we said it like the storytellers, like, you know, the people who are telling the story about Ti Moune were maybe even in the future, but definitely present at least, and that the story of Daniel and Ti Moune was told like it was, you know, maybe early 2000s or like the 1980s. Like it was definitely not that old, and that was something that like we were told. It wasn't like a choice, it wasn't like an opinion. Like that's what he told us, that it was like that's how it was set. So I was intrigued by that. Maybe they chose to make it that way. I mean, it is a different show technically than the original. Another thing was that they had a very small cast. Obviously in high school shows, a lot of things are cast that don't need to be, just to have more kids in the show so that more kids have an experience. Also because a lot of high schoolers aren't as good singers, aren't as talented at dancing and acting and everything basically. So having more people makes it to where there's more talent that you can pick and choose from. So that's one of the reasons that we've had an insanely big cast, I'm assuming. Actually, it wasn't that big. I think people were shocked by how small it was, in all honesty, but it was a pretty big cast. And this show had like, I'm gonna go with 10. I'm guessing, I don't actually know, but I'm gonna go with just 10 people. Like I think it had like 10 people. It was a really small cast, and I was actually underwhelmed a lot of the times because, like, again, I'm comparing it to my show. Our dancing to me was just so amazing and gorgeous, and I loved it on like a new level, and I think it looked so good. And like there were scenes like Pray where there was just so much happening on stage, and it was just so chaotic and beautiful, and you felt that all these things were just like everywhere and like happening, and like it looked so good and cool, and like loved it. 10 out of 10. But it was so underwhelming in this show because there's, you know, like 4 people dancing because you have like the 4 gods and you have like Daniel and Timon and like the mom and the dad, and so there's like not that many people who are ensemble like dancing in these scenes. I don't know. I felt like this show would have looked better with a bigger cast, but then again, I'm also a dumb 18-year-old child who's talking crap about a Broadway show. One thing I officially really liked was Papa Gay. That was my favorite part of the whole show, was Papa Gay. The actress who played Papa Gay was amazing, not only in singing but also in acting. And pre-show, Papa Gay, because they were playing peasants before they started telling the story, was so Papa Gay. It made me chuckle because at first I didn't really think about it. I wasn't paying attention to like who would be playing what god, but then I realized that one of the peasants was just always in the water, and I was like, ooh, that peasant's probably going to be Agwe because he's just sitting in the water. Like, that's all he's doing, is just sitting in the water. So then I started kind of trying to pay attention to like who else was going to be playing the gods, and I couldn't tell because Erzulie was played by like she would look like she was a nurse. She was in like nurse's clothes, but like I couldn't tell that she was going to be Erzulie. And then Asaka, I couldn't tell she was going to be Asaka, but I guessed the person who was going to play Papa Gay, which kind of gives you a nod towards the actress for being subtle enough that she doesn't scream Papa Gay, and then I kind of was like, maybe? But that she played, like, she snuck Papa Gay enough into her peasant that I was able to, like, see that she was gonna be Papa Gay. I really liked that. I thought that was cool. One thing I thought was really cool that I really liked was at the very beginning when you're entering to go sit at your seats, the whole stage is like covered in trash, like water bottles and papers and plastic bags and palm fronds and just like a whole bunch of stuff like all over. And you know, as people come in, they come in and they start picking up trash. And so by the time that the show starts, all of the trash is off of the stage. And the reason they do this is because like a huge storm was just about to have this, I can't talk. A big storm had just come through, so there was like debris everywhere, and that's like, so they were cleaning up after the storm. I thought that was really cool that they like added that piece of it because it made you feel more like they had just been part of a storm, and they like, it gave the actor something to do when they came on stage instead of just like stand there. They like did stuff. I thought that was cool. But yeah, that's gonna be part 1 of my One's Island show review. I hope you enjoyed it. Keep your eyes peeled for part 2, and also keep your eyes peeled for other show reviews that I'll be doing soon. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. You can find many more videos just like this one or many other topics on my channel, so make sure you check it out. And while you're there, make sure you subscribe, hit the notifications bell, and like this video. If you haven't seen my Instagram post, you should go over to my account, like my photo, comment what you liked about this video, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and Twitter. If you're interested in looking at my website, the link for that is down below. On there, you can find short story scripts and my Red Lady series that is going on right now. I had an amazing time making this video, so I hope you had an amazing time watching this video, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye guys.